Changing minds one thought at a time.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Changing Minds Online Empowering Women series. It is Jessica here. Akina is not with me this evening. She is doing an event, so she is going to be listening in later, and she's super excited. We're super excited for her. She's traveling and has a great opportunity right now. So that's it. So I have an amazing friend on with me tonight, and I'm just so excited for this show. You know, it's one of the things, and I've said this before in this podcast, one of my absolute favorite things that I love about just being in the business of empowering women is getting to meet some of the most amazing women that just on this planet that just contribute in such an amazing way. And I have met the person I have on tonight through when I was networking. I had moved to New Jersey. I was looking for networking groups, and I came across the Polka Dot Powerhouse networking group, and I reached out to someone who turns out to be the managing director of Polka Dot Powerhouse. I mean, we got to talking, and it was like an instantaneous click, a bond. I think the first 2 times we had scheduled to speak to each other about the networking event, we talked for so long about so many things, we never actually got to the topic that we planned to discuss. I mean, this person, for me, we just really resonate. She is a woman of my own heart, of my passion, a woman of God. She's the owner of Miserable to Magnificent Coaching. And when we started talking, what we talked about was just really making your life better, trusting your heart, trusting your intuition. And one of the things we started to talk about is applied kinesiology, a topic I knew very little about, but I knew I wanted to explore. And she just was able to introduce me to something amazing that has really had a huge benefit in my life. And I asked her to come on the show tonight and to share with everyone what she shared with me, because it has really been powerful for me and really amazing. And I'm just so excited to bring her on. A personal friend of mine knows this is going to be a great show. If you have a pencil and paper handy, if you're not listening in podcast mode and driving or running, I mean, you're going to want to take notes. It is really an honor to bring my friend Lydia Stacks on the show tonight. Welcome, Lydia. How you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you, Jessica, for having me. I'm just over here chuckling because it is so true. This call will probably go on forever. No, just kidding. We're not going to do that to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, yes, we definitely enjoy each other's company and how we have enhanced each other's, businesses and our lives with what we have. So, yes, super excited to be a part of this call tonight and a part of everyone out there in the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And for everyone who's listening in, I promise, even though Akina's not here to ring me in tonight, we are going to keep the show to 30 minutes. Lydia and I have made a commitment that we can do this. We can keep the show down. Although I can promise you, we won't actually, once we cut the lines off, continue talking for the rest of the evening. But
that would be us.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I wanted to just jump right into things, since we're promising everyone we're going to really just maximize their time today and the value that they're getting out of this call. And, when I had first heard of applied kinesiology when I was at a conference, I knew very, very little about it. I had seen one of my mentors and leaders that I follow go up on stage and show how your body responds to different words. And it was really cool to me, but it looked almost like a magic trick. It was kind of weird, but then I thought it was cool, and I wasn't sure what it meant and if it was powerful or if it was, like pulling a bunny out of a hat. It just looked like but what I started to learn is that it's actually a really powerful way to really gauge how you're feeling and what your body wants. And I'm going to be honest, I still don't know nearly as much about it as I would like to. And I have my pencil and paper handy, and as you're sharing with our audience, I'm going to be taking some really great notes. So can you just do me a favor, and for anyone who hasn't heard of it and has no idea what I'm talking about, can you just give us the 101, what is applied kinesiology?
Absolutely, Jessica. The applied kinesiology really works with your body in what is special to you per se. So it's a series of tests that actually locate weaknesses in specific muscles that reflect imbalances throughout your body. And really what that comes down to play is that when things are not in line, our body can actually tell us that, and through the muscle testing, what essentially happens, while that test goes on as the body goes weak. And there's a variety of different ways that you can actually test that through what they call arm strength. There is also using your thumb and your index finger, and there's also a variety of things that can be applied to actually holding an item towards your stomach area or your center core, that the body can identify that, yes, this is something your body needs to help it to heal or bring back to balance, or no, this is something that should not be applied to the body. The couple ones that I really work a lot with and are actually the nutritional avenue. Chiropractic is actually where I had learned first about the applied kinesiology, and that was to really bring in the balance of my body being off the spinal column to, different types of poisons and chemicals and a variety of other things that are in our bodies, or it can also affect even our mental statuses of things that go into play there. The main areas that I have learned to focus on within my own testings, which I think is some of the areas you and I, Jessica, were talking about to focus on, is actually through the nutritional avenue that I have applied on a consistent basis in my own life.
Wow, that's amazing. And the nutrition aspect is really the aspect that you taught me with, and I've been using it ever since. And for me, and what I think is really powerful is that, we have so much greatness in us, and we're just made by the divine and in the image of God, and our bodies are so powerful. And I often say that no matter what is outside of us, no matter what issues are going on in our life, in our world, and even in our own bodies, whatever disease or like you talked about having a balance, not being in balance, being slightly out of order, or our chiropractic, lacking in nutrients, right? We know we don't live in a world where we have the greatest food supply anymore. So when our bodies have that imbalance, but what doesn't change is the power that we have and how really our cells, our body, our muscles are so responsive and aware of who we are, what we're eating, what we're putting into it. And our bodies just truly know what it wants. Oftentimes we'll have cravings. And I know often after running marathons, I'll crave salt, and I know it's because my body wants salt. But this is a way that you can ask your body, well, what do you want? And it's almost like your body you can tell you it. You can actually communicate with your cells. And that's what I've kind of, learned from you and from my limited knowledge. And please, correct me or add to this if you know more about it. But, I do want to just ask, how did you start using this? Because I like I said, I've heard a lot of people talk about this, and I heard people kind of question, is this for me? Is this a religion? Is this, something spiritual? Is it a scientific principle? Can this be backed up? So how did you get into this? And, what avenues did you explore? And from that perspective, if for someone looking for this or wondering really where does this come from, what, in your opinion, is it really all about?
Sure, and that's really a great question, Jessica, that lots of people have asked me over and over again, that's kind of way out there. Well, the body is, as we have shared before, is definitely all made up of energy. And, and God has given us the power to make decisions and also to find our answers within ourselves, because that's really where He has equipped us, which is why we have a soul. And we're not going to go into all the different religious, aspects of where that can go into play, but to really identify our bodies talk to us all the time. Whether it is I've got this kink, I don't know why, or I've got these thoughts that I can't seem to get rid of, or I have this limp and I don't know where it came from, our body's constantly sending us messages that is trying to bring us always back to balance. It's really one of the key factors to help our happiness, to feel content, to feel connected, to feel loved, is to really pull all that in. And there's so many different ways of avenues to seek and find that. For myself, this is the honest truth. My head was disconnected from my body. And I went to a networking. How amazing, right? Another networking, powerful community to be involved in is networking. And this lady looked at me and she said, "Can I put your head back on?" And I'm like, "What?" She goes, "You are totally unbalanced. Your head is literally off cockeyed." And I'm trying to talk to her. She goes, "You have problems even talking. You slur. You forget what you're trying to say. Your eyes will blur over." And I'm like, "How do you know that? You're just looking at me." And she said, "Just come to my office. I'll show you what I can do." She is an applied kinesiologist chiropractor. And essentially, she did an application, did the muscle testing, which we'll share a little bit on how that works, and put my head back on. Immediately, my vision cleared. I didn't have the slurred speech like I did before. I could think clearly. That was probably the greatest miracle in my world was, oh my goodness, I can think. My head was totally off. It was unaligned. I was unbalanced. And then through my care with her on an ongoing basis, she continued to put my body back into line. And as you can probably already tell where this is going, I started feeling incredible. I'm like, just you helping through balance, I'm starting to feel good. No more medications. I don't get this, how, drugs was the natural realm to go to because it's only what I knew. So it opened up my world to the whole entire avenue of true health, true balance through utilizing what I already have, which is the power of my own body. And then I also had, through that chiropractor, ended up connecting with some other people through Secret of Life coaching, and then they shared some of the other ways to actually work with balance as well. So the combination just opened up a door of opportunity, not just for myself, but others that I meet. I utilize it within my own coaching, and my family has benefited greatly. So now instead of putting things into our body that we think our body needs, we're actually able to test those items to know what my body needs right now, so I'm not putting in stuff that's not beneficial, yet in turn wasting money on supplements that maybe are not going to either be good or I don't need that quantity every single time. So I no longer read a bottle to what it says to have. I actually just ask my body what it needs, and it responds. And in turn, I have phenomenal health, but I feel great, and my body is very responsive and receptive to what I bring to it.
I love that. And, Lydia, one of the things that I always have thought about, but until we actually spoke, and this had a really profound impact on me, and really when you first shared this with me, is that, if you look at a label on a vitamin bottle, everything is the same for everyone. So whether or not you're, 4'10" and you're 100 pounds, or whether or not you're 6'10" and, 180 pounds, it's telling us to take the same amount, right? It doesn't really relate to our bodies, or whether or not, for me, I'm an ultra marathon runner. So, right, chances are my body needs slightly more nutrients than someone who is not an ultra marathon runner, right? Someone who just goes to the gym a few times a week, or so. In a man and a woman, and even for women, where we are in our cycle, right? This is the Women's Empowerment Series. Let's get real. Let's talk about it, right? We're hormonal beings, and sometimes at different times of the month, I actually take natural herbs to balance my hormones, and I know now that my body at different times of the month needs different ones and different amounts of them. And sometimes for us, it may even be if we feel like our bodies are run down, maybe we're working really hard, right? This is everyone on this call, almost everyone is an entrepreneur. If you're on this call, you're at least doing something, right, to make your life better. That's why you're here. So you're probably working a lot, putting a lot of hours in. Maybe you have kids and a family to take care of, and you might be run down. So your body might need more antioxidants, more vitamin C, and all different things at different times. And it's really the way that the pharmaceutical industry, the USDA, the way everything is set up, the FDA, it's just one amount, right? It's like every time it's always the same. But we know that our bodies are not always the same, and what our bodies require, even from day to day, hour to hour, in different times of the day, it's not actually the same. And I made the mistake too, and I tend to have the opinion that more is always better when it comes to vitamins. And I take a ton of supplements. I'm a little bit of a supplement junkie, right? I will admit I have been one of those people in the past who, if I read about something online, I would need to go buy it and take it, and I've tried every supplement that there is. And what I found when I was doing this is I was actually putting a lot more things into my body than it actually wanted or required, and that there were times where I was putting a supplement in my body that I wasn't necessarily getting the benefit I was looking for. And when I wound up doing this testing that you shared with me, what I found was my body actually wanted more of it. And when I gave it more of it, I was able to get those benefits that I had been looking for that I wasn't previously getting. So for me, that was just really, really powerful. So, so we can kind of get into the meat of really this topic so people leave this call being able to start applying this and using this right away. Can you go through like what it looks like to start using it so anyone who's listening in here can have that benefit that I have and I had when I started using it, because it's really powerful, guys. I mean, this is really powerful.
So there's two different techniques, Jessica, that I have learned. The one is the main one that I'm going to share, just because our main focus is about, the health and the nutrition. The other avenue, I really suggest to consult with an expert that can work through like the different types of emotions and releasing, or connect in a level of a coaching session, because there is a variety of different parts that go into that one, which we probably don't have a lot of time today within our call, but one we can definitely expound on if someone has interest in that. But the main one that we use in our family on a daily basis is really what we call the yes and the no. And this is mainly for nutritional avenues, things that you're going to ingest into your system. And so you use your core of your body. It doesn't have to be right at your stomach, but whatever item it is, it can be in its capsule, it can be in a bottle, it can be absolutely raw, however you want to hold that. You essentially hold this to your inner core. It doesn't have to touch you exactly on, but you can if you feel that it is more beneficial. But how it really all starts, Jessica, is you have to first ask your body, what is yes for my body and what is no? And as I'm sitting here, Jessica, the moment I say it, my body starts reacting. What will happen is that for some to start this process, I always encourage them to maybe close their eyes just so that they have a little bit more of that concentration and really allowing themselves to think within, because it's really giving that release of your body to talk to you. And you standing upright and go, what is yes for my body? And then just allow your body to react. If you feel like it doesn't react, then just try it again, just kind of releasing. Sometimes I say take a deep breath, just let it out and relax, because it is a different concept that sometimes can put us like, oh my goodness, is this really going to work? Just release it out and allow your body to speak to you, and just do it again. Say, what is yes for my body? What will happen is your body's either going to move forward on its own accord a little or a lot, or move backwards a little or a lot. And then the next step, once you feel you have received a response to that your body has just made a natural movement one way or the other, then ask your body, what is no for my body? Allow your body to do the exact same thing of whatever that reaction is. The value to making sure you identify the yes and no is, I'll share an example of my husband and I. For me, when I say what is yes for my body moves forward. When I say no, what is no for my body, it moves backwards. My husband is the opposite. So if he wouldn't have tested that concept, he would actually be putting the wrong things into his body, because for him, yes is backwards and no is forward. There is no right or wrong on which direction that goes. It's solely just who you are as a person and the way your body reads those signals. You then take that item of food or a supplement, and then you hold that to front of you and go, is this yes for my body? Your body will react in three different potential ways. One, it will do nothing, which means that it's not a yes or a no for your body, but it doesn't really need any of it right now. The other it may do is say yes, that will move forward or backwards, whichever way your yes is. Or obviously the last would be it would go to the no, whichever direction that is. If it goes to yes, now you want to find out, well, though, how much? Just like Jessica and I were sharing, there's times where I may need, 30 drops of frankincense. That's like an insane amount, but I'll take it. But it's very possible I may not need that supplement now for days or weeks, or a little bit the next time I test it. So you want to make sure you're getting the correct quantity. I will tell you, do not freak out. Just like Jessica mentioned, sometimes our body will ask for large quantities of something because it's asking for it. It obviously is needing it. And unless it is, which I don't encourage people to test drugs, usually I'm talking about natural foods and supplements in that avenue, your body probably will do just fine with whatever it is that it is asking for. So the next point then is to identify, well, how much of this do I need? Now let's just utilize like a supplement first. So you're looking probably at a capsule. Is I will say 1 capsule, 2 capsules, and I keep on going as long as my body is saying yes to the amount I'm saying. That will be the amount that you would need. Once it stops where my body just doesn't react, it just stays neutral, let's say I'm at 10 capsules, then I know that 10 capsules is what I should consume for that particular supplement. If it's like a food portion, depending on what you have there, a lot of times I will start with a half a cup or a 1 cup. And there's times where I'll start with 1 cup and my body goes backwards. That means for me that a whole cup is too much. Then I just start putting that quantity down. When I do things like your oils or those avenues that are in drop format, I actually do it according to drops, unless I happen to have one like my example of my frankincense where it was so many. I finally just said, okay, 1 tablespoon, because hello, this is like going on forever. And so you can adjust that according to, depending on how speedily you want to get that answer, like sometimes I do, going, this is taking forever, I'm not going to drops anymore, and I will just change it. Talking about like some of those health things, Jessica, when I know I've been around sick people, I will actually test different things during that period of time, because there's a really good chance my body is going to go, you either am already getting something, let's kind of combat and fight this, or preventing stuff. Sometimes I find that my body will actually do that. I've been very blessed. We are around a variety of different people who have illnesses, and rarely do we have any of those happen in our own family. So that's been definitely a benefit and a perk that I feel our family has gained by tuning in to our bodies and really providing the supplements and the nutrition that it needs to, work. I always say, if you don't oil the car or grease the tires, after a while those things wear out, and the more you know what that needs, the greater it's going to stay in wonderful working condition.
Oh, I love that. And, I know that there's somebody who's listening in tonight who's a little skeptical. And they're kind of thinking, like, oh, my goodness, like, this just sounds kind of silly to me. Maybe this sounds completely nuts. And I'm going to be honest, like, when I first heard this, I thought it was really silly, too. And I was so convinced my body wasn't going to react. And, I remember standing in front of my fridge, and I was thinking, and I was like, I really like this person. And Lydia and I had just met, and we started talking about this. I was like, but this just sounds kind of crazy to me. And I was like, I'm going to be open. I'm just going to give it a chance, right? Because at the very worst, no one could see me. So, only my pet bunny was there. So, and he already thinks I'm crazy. So if it was just, there's no one else there looking, I was like, all right, I'm just going to try this. And I just was like, I'll talk to myself. I can handle this. And it just seemed kind of silly. And I was so surprised because when I asked my body, what does yes mean? I almost fell forward on my face. I had such a strong reaction. And then I was like, okay, well, I just made that happen. This is just some sort of subconscious thing. This is like still a party trick, it seemed like to me. And I decided to be open, right? Because sometimes it's really just about trusting the process. And that's what it comes down to. A lot of times when we're changing and our bodies, our brains, we have our RAS, our reticular activating system, and our brain's job is to keep us where we are. So sometimes we hear these things and they can be really powerful, but we're not open to trying them or experimenting with them. But for me, I was, and I'm so grateful that I was open to just giving it a try, because I found that it really, really did benefit me, and I started to see these changes in my body. And I did a little bit of my own research, and you'll probably be proud of me, Lydia, when you hear that I've done some of the science on it. And, for me, too, and I am a science person. I'm very big into knowing what's going on with my body and why do things work. And what I found, and what I kind of intuitively knew to look this up, right, that women, a lot of times when we feel stressed out, we feel it in our gut, right? We'll have issues with digestion. And that's because we have a parasympathetic nervous system. And what they have found is that this is a nervous system, and just like our brains control a big part of our bodies, our emotions, well, especially for women, we have a center in our core, right? And I think they knew this in Chinese medicine for thousands and thousands of years, and we're just kind of figuring it out now in the West and what it's called. but we have in our core this system that is responsive to understanding our emotions and how we feel and what we need. And, the whole role of the parasympathetic nervous system is really to regulate our body's unconscious actions, from everything from digestion to really just moving things through our body, through absorbing nutrients, all of these things. And we can access that. We can access, because we are only one. We are one body. We have access to the energy in all of our bodies, and we can communicate with the different parts of our bodies. And to me, when I understood the science behind it, the idea that this parasympathetic nervous system is part of our central nervous system, right, which comes from our brain, our cranial nerves, our spinal nerves, that it's really all connected. And since we're all energy and that energy is constantly moving, it really, to me, I said, wow, this really is scientific. This is not some sort of party trick. This is not some sort of New Age spiritual religion or New Age kind of belief or philosophy. It's science that we can really just communicate with the different parts of our nervous system, and we can learn from that. And it just, for me, that made it much more powerful. Now, I know we have 5 minutes left, and we're going to definitely keep this really, really short. But I know that this was the second different exercise that you shared with me. And the first one I was actually non-reactive to. And I wanted you to just kind of briefly describe what that first one was, just in case someone happens to be on the call, and our bodies can react to things differently. And in case there's someone's on the call tonight who is really excited and fired up and wants to start using this, but maybe their body's better suited for the other one. And I will say we have 4 minutes left, and this podcast does actually close itself off at 9:30. So we need a 2-minute breakdown of what that is, and even maybe how to point someone to where to find out more.
Okay, sounds good. And Jessica, when I'm put on the line, I'm like, okay, got this. Let's fire this in. So the other technique that Jessica is referring to is one that I learned to more deal with the emotional level, yet it can be utilized for any of the muscle testing as well. But it was where I had learned it, and the area I'll actually share as to where I have learned that and have utilized and been trained, or have, I should say not trained, but have been taught it through different coaching, is the Secret to Life coaching. It's one of their main techniques that they use. They have a full line of information you can actually gain directly from them for that. So how that works is actually your pointer finger and your thumb is you close the first one, touching your thumb and that pointer finger with that, and then you use your other hand. It doesn't matter which direction you go. Same thing, lock those together. So you're essentially kind of looking like you have made a chain link. And the same exact concept, you utilize the yes and the no avenue. And first thing you do is you hold as tightly as you can to those. Try not to break it, and go, what is yes, and hold it. Then you go, what is no? And when you do that, the no generally automatically creates a weakness in the body, because no resonates as something that we don't want. And your finger should be able to move. It will not resist it. It'll actually open up, or you'll be able to slide your other finger through, or fingers, I should say, through that. So the exact same type of a concept. I utilize that a lot with more of my emotional avenues on something that is going on that I'm trying to process through or remove a block, and knowing, hey, is this good? Am I mentally sound? Am I balanced in that avenue? And we'll utilize that as a yes and a no. Can be done with the other variable formats as well. Anything you want me to add to that, Jessica? I wanted to make sure I respected our time there in kind of showing that quickly without indulging and overstepping.
No, you know what? That is amazing, and thank you for also pointing that resource for people if they're interested in learning more. Unfortunately, and like I said, we could talk for hours, but we have to keep this at our time tonight. Before we close out, I do want to give everyone a chance to stay in contact with you if they're interested in hiring you as a coach. Obviously, you come with my high recommendations or learning more about what products and services you offer. Can you just give us a brief rundown about how that people can get in touch with you, and if they want to know more, how they can go about doing that?
Absolutely. So the best place to go is our website, which is miserabletomagnificent.com. My information is on there for additional contact, but that would probably be the first place that I would direct people to go, is check it out. We have a very basic site, not a whole lot of extra things on there, but that's because we're simple people, and we really cater directly to our clients. So miserabletomagnificent.com would be the place that I would direct.
Awesome. Well, you know what? This has just been such a fun show. I was so excited to be with you tonight. I had a great time.
Thanks,
I mean, the time passed so quickly. And thank you just so much for coming on. I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate you and what you are offering and providing to this incredible audience, an opportunity for them to grow within and without.
Well, thank you so much. You know, to everyone on the call tonight, you know, we always end the call in the same way. I just want to let you know I am so grateful for you, and I just love you. And from the bottom of my heart, I truly want to see you live the life of your dreams. So, you know, with that said, thank you for calling in tonight. Thank you for listening in podcast mode. It's my prayer that this has blessed you. Make it a really powerful week, and I'm excited to be with you guys again on our Sunday night inspirational call this Sunday, 9 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you're listening live. God bless everyone, and have a great evening. Thank you again, Medea.
Thank you.